In today's video, we look at a killer who police described as a terrifying axeman and one of the most blatant and dangerous career robbers stroke criminals in Birmingham's history. Keenan Anderson. He stole in separate raids over £320,000 in under 4 months. The man was also found guilty of the murder of Anthony Sargent. Keenan Anderson was already serving a 10-year sentence for the robberies, while the murder case was being tried in court. We'll also take a further look into the murder victim Anthony Sargent, known to the community as the King of Leebank. He had a sideline hustle, where after some success he was about to make it big. But was this the reason he was murdered? Giovanni Garrick and Keenan Anderson gained the name by police as the Viking Axe Raiders due to the warrior-style battle axe Keenan Anderson used. Both 23 years old, the gangsters targeted cash points and money deliveries during a 4-month reign of terror. Giovanni Garrick and Keenan Anderson were linked to 11 cash box raids in 3 months across Birmingham. The gang assaulted and threatened security drivers with weapons as they went to shops, post offices and other premises between April and July 2019. The robbers then fled in a waiting vehicle, which was different on most occasions, to try and avoid being traced. Axes were brandished during some of the raids, and then showing off, one of the gang taking photos of each other, holding wads of cash in stolen £20 notes after robbing a petrol station. Giovanni Garrick and Keenan Anderson were linked to 11 cash box raids in 4 months, but it's thought there are many more, including robbing other criminals. In one raid, the robbers sped off with the money from a cash in transit job in a stolen BMW, miscalculating a junction and mounting a pavement where the BMW became wedged between a road sign and a parked car. Neighbours were alerted with the car's screeching noise. The car wheel spinning in forward and then reverse, but was completely stuck. The robbers leapt out the window and were lost sight of after running round the back of some garages. Not all the raids were successful, and dive traps were triggered on boxes on several occasions, making the money useless. This was found in the boot of an abandoned BMW X5. Police listed some of the crimes they were involved with, and they're sure there are many more. But there's a saying by Andrew Grove, and it became true with these robbers. With their success, it breeds complacency. Complacency breeds failure. Meaning for these criminals, the sense of reward and money that derives from the belief that the success you've had in the past will continue indefinitely, it breeds in the assumption that the future will be like the present and the past, that nothing will change. The robberies became less planned, and in some cases masks were just jumpers pulled over their mouths. Robberies became spur-of-the-moment things, and the getaway cars that were driven to the job and then ditched. The next getaway car was being constantly driven as a daily driver for the gang. This being a Volkswagen Golf with fake plates, and with the gang driving through red lights and speeding on ANPR cameras. The bad disguise is getting worse. It wasn't long before an officer who collects information on Birmingham gangs clocked the Golf and made the connection to the gang. Police listed some of the robberies. On April 17, 2019, they first struck in a shop in Handsworth when an axe was used to threaten staff. They made off with £100,000 from a cash machine. On May the 8th, the raiders disguised and wearing dark clothing targeted a post office in Rookery Road, making off with over £10,000. On May the 10th, using a Volkswagen Golf with false number plates, they next robbed a petrol station of fuel and take-ins. On May the 13th, the gang took £11,000 from a money exchange. On May the 14th, the gang next robbed Barclays Bank in Hockley of £25,000 after attacking a security guard by punching him in the back of the neck. One of the defendants then visited a builder's merchant and bought a circular saw and 2 blades. On May the 22nd, dressed in hoodies with their hoods up, the raiders attacked another post office in College Road, Handsworth, taking a cash box containing £22,000 from a guard after shoving him to the ground. On July the 10th, a further £20,000 was stolen from a Small World store in Birchfield Road after a G4S guard was rugby tackled for his cash box. On July the 18th, a final raid on a one-stop in Vicarage Road, as a cash machine there was about to be refilled. £20,000 was taken and an axe again was brandished. Keenan Anderson was arrested in a dawn raid after his house was put under surveillance. During his arrest, police found a picture on his phone of Garrick holding a significant amount of £20 notes, 25 minutes after raiding a petrol station. Out of the £320,000 stolen, only £550 had been recovered from Anderson's home, and there was evidence of quite large sums being spent on gaudy jewellery. Pictures were also found on a phone of quite large sums of cash on display. Passing sentence, Judge Roderick Henderson told the pair these were very serious events, terrifying even for the robust people who work in the industry. Garrick was jailed for 12 years and 11 months. Anderson, who also admitted to possessing a stun gun and cannabis, was sentenced to 10 years and 9 months. But this wouldn't be the last we'd hear of Keenan Anderson. In a video done titled The Drive-By on the King of Lee Bank, we looked at Jaguar Land Rover worker Anthony Sargent, who started a football team to guide youth away from gangs and being trapped in gang life, which would end most likely in death or prison. Anthony Sargent was called the King of Lee Bank for his charity and social work. The father of 8 children, he was shot in a drive-by by a gang and died days later, shattering a community. The gang, Connor Goodwin, who was 27 years old, Michael Goodwin, who was 26, Leon Riley, who was 21, and Anderson, 25, were all convicted of murder. A 5th member of the gang, Dante Mullins, was fatally shot outside a Birmingham school 9 months later as an underworld turf war gathered pace. But there was one part that the news channels missed at the time: Anthony Sargent's lucrative side hustle. Now, this side hustle Anthony Sargent worked very hard for, and he had a talent for. The more he tried, the further he got. Anthony Sargent was also known as Scally Jonesy, who was becoming a rising star on the Birmingham rap scene. His last album, From the Banks to the Banks, had got him noticed in the record industry, and a year before the album, he had collaborated with most of the top Birmingham grime and rap artists. His album's on YouTube, and you must check it out. This guy had talent. Now, with the topics he's rapping about, it's a vast contrast to the community leader he was. But for Anthony Sargent, Scally Jonesy, though his nickname growing up, become his alter ego, like in ancient Greek theatre, when poets use a set of interchangeable masks to represent different characters in a play. An example in the rap genre would be Tupac Shakur, his alter ego Machiavelli, and Eminem, his alter ego Slim Shady. Anthony Sargent, his alter ego Scally Jonesy, rapped about gang life and hustle and getting even. Now, if Anthony Sargent rapped about his normal life at Jaguar Land Rover and playing with his kids and repairing his cars to get it through an MOT, it just does not have the same vibe as gangster ducking and diving, beating his enemies and winning. He had just finished his album From the Banks to the Banks, which was all the talk in the rap industry and the music industry. But before he could sign on the dotted line, before the acknowledgement to his talent could happen, he was gunned down and killed. The gang who killed him have never said why, and police have not come to any conclusions why he died. Anthony Sargent's alter ego Scally Jonesy, a stark contrast to the man he was in real life. But let's not let the rapper take away from what Anthony Sargent has achieved for his community, enough to earn him the name the King of Lee Bank. Yes, Scally Jonesy may glorify the life that Anthony Sargent was trying to get the kids of his football club and community away from. A contradiction. Could be. Maybe. But the rapper was a character to a man who helped everyone. But why was he shot? The gang that night were looking for Anthony Sargent. Or was it Scally Jonesy? We'll never know. Did Anthony Sargent warn the gang to stay away from the kids in his community? Or were there Scally Jonesy fans who felt pushed away or dissed in a rap? Or was it envy? Or was they paid to do the hit? A murder mystery that has more questions than answers.